Right. I mean, I've read the relevant parts of the law, and I've read some commentary on the law, for and against. And it seems pretty clear to me that all Ukraine is doing, based on the law, is essentially following the practice of virtually every other country in the world, whereby public education takes place in the official language, again, assuming that there is an official language, and minority rights are respected. And that's what Ukraine is doing. You can still study Hungarian, there's no one to stop you from speaking Hungarian, Russian, Polish, Yiddish, or any other language. Nor is there for that matter anyone to stop you from speaking Ukrainian. The bottom line is you can speak any language you like at home and with friends and in all other places, but the educational system will provide knowledge of Ukrainian, but it would also provide knowledge of the relevant minority language, assuming you want that. But it will provide sufficient knowledge of Ukrainian to enable those people to get jobs in the Ukrainian-speaking environment and to get a higher education in Ukraine. At this point in time, many people in the East and in the West, the Hungarians, the Romanians, the Russians, they come out having an inadequate knowledge of Ukrainian, and they can't get into the better universities. There you go. So the law is perfectly fine. The fact that the Hungarians are hot and bothered by it doesn't disturb me. It doesn't surprise me, because the regime in Hungary is essentially an ethnically chauvinist, quasi-democratic regime. The Romanians, of course, are equally ethnically nationalist, maybe not quite chauvinist, but they're very determined. I think they're misinterpreting the law. I think they're also doing that on purpose in order to get votes at home. Russian speakers need not worry about this, because there is no way in any time in the immediate future that the Russian language will go away from Ukraine. This is just not going to happen. It's like the relationship between Canada and the United States. Whatever Canada does, American culture and American linguistic habits and American music will seep in. You could construct a North Korean state in Canada, and American culture would still get in. I have no doubt about that, simply because it's so big, so dominant, and the border is just so large. So we will get in somehow or other. So Russian is fine, Hungarian, Romanian will be fine, but the Hungarians, Romanians, and Russian speakers will now be able to actually get serious jobs as well as an education within a Ukrainian state. What's not to like about that? His first suggestion was that English be adopted as a second language or as an official language. And in principle, I think that's a great idea. Taras has very many good ideas, happens to be one of them. Whether that could be pushed through, I don't know. But the idea of Ukraine having English as a language that everybody would have to know would serve a variety of purposes. One is it would enable Ukrainians to travel and see the world and engage in business and everything. But at the same time, it would have the salutary effect of, I think, helping to integrate Russian speakers. Some Russian speakers may so dislike Ukrainian that they just don't want to speak it. And we know that's true, by the way. They might be willing to speak English. So if we heard more English on the streets of Kyiv and Donetsk and Kharkiv and Poltava and Lviv, what the hell, why not? So I see no problems with that. Whether lack of knowledge of English is an obstacle to Ukraine's integrating into the European Union, I'm far less certain of that. There are so many other main obstacles, economic, political, legal, security-related, which are simply enormous. And Ukraine will first have to deal with all of those issues before it can even seriously consider the possibility of ever becoming a member of the European Union. And that's going to take another 10, 20, if not more years. And in this long list of issues or obstacles, I would place lack of knowledge of English way at the bottom. Way at the bottom. It would be like saying that the lack of knowledge of English is the main obstacle to Ukraine's becoming a province of Canada. Well, it wouldn't help, but that would certainly not be the key obstacle, would it?